Detective Ryan Carter had seen strange cases before, but nothing prepared him for the moment he opened the crime scene folder and realized something terrifying. The evidence didn't add up. Not even a little. It was like someone had taken the truth, broken it into pieces, and put it back together the wrong way. He was standing in the center of a small apartment in Dayton, Ohio, holding a flashlight in one hand and a photo in the other. The photo showed the victim, Mark Delton, a quiet 38-year-old accountant, lying face down beside his broken coffee table. But the real body lying in front of Ryan didn't match the photo. The photo showed a cut on the left side of Mark's head. The real body had a cut on the right. In the photo, the lamp beside the couch was shattered. But in the real room, the lamp was perfectly fine. Even the time of death written in the report didn't make sense. The body was cold, stiff, and clearly dead for at least 10 hours. But the report claimed Mark had died only 3 hours before the police arrived. "This isn't possible," Ryan whispered, staring at the mismatched details. His partner, Detective Lisa Gomez, stepped beside him. "Ryan, look at his wrist." Ryan aimed his flashlight down. On Mark's wrist was a watch, still ticking, but the glass face was cracked in the shape of a spiderweb. The crack didn't match how his body was lying. It looked like it had happened somewhere else. Lisa swallowed hard. None of this is lining up. Ryan felt a sudden chill crawl up his spine. Someone had messed with the evidence. Someone had staged the scene. Someone wanted the police to believe a fake story. But why? Before either of them could speak again, the ceiling above them made a loud thump, heavy, sudden, and unmistakable. Both detectives froze. "Did you hear that?" Lisa whispered. "Yes," Ryan said, slowly drawing his gun. "Someone's upstairs." They stepped back, making no sound. Ryan kept his eyes on the staircase. The air felt thick. Every part of him screamed that something was very wrong. Another thump. Then a slow, dragging sound. Lisa raised her gun. "We need backup." But before she could reach for her radio, the lights in the apartment flickered and went completely dark. The room fell into blackness. Something moved at the top of the stairs. And just as Ryan lifted his flashlight to see who, or what, was up there, a shadow rushed forward, fast. Too fast. That was when everything went wild. Just 12 hours earlier, the day had started calmly. Detective Ryan Carter sat at his desk in the Dayton Police Department, sipping lukewarm coffee while scrolling through emails he didn't want to read. The station buzzed around him, phones ringing, officers chatting, printers beeping, but Ryan's mind was somewhere else. He hadn't slept well. A strange uneasiness had followed him since last night, a gut feeling that something big was about to happen. Lisa walked in holding a bag of donuts. "Still alive?" "Barely. You look like you fought a bear." Ryan smirked. "I lost." Before she could crack another joke, Captain Howard stepped out of his office and called their names. "Carter. Gomez. My office. Now." They exchanged glances. When Captain Howard used that tone, it meant trouble. Inside the office, the captain slid a thin folder across the desk. "Dead body. Apartment in East Dayton. Name's Mark Delton. Neighbor found him early this morning." Ryan opened the folder, flipping through the first photos. "So what's unusual?" he asked. Captain Howard leaned back. "Everything." Those were the captain's exact words. Everything. Ryan didn't understand how true that was until he got to the scene. The apartment was small, clean, and quiet. Too quiet. The floor smelled faintly of lemon cleaner, like someone had wiped things down. The neighbor who called it in, Mrs. Turner, was a sweet elderly woman who stood shaking near the police tape. "I didn't mean to intrude," she said softly. "I just hadn't heard him leave for work. He always left at 7. Every day. Like clockwork. But this morning, nothing. And the door was cracked open. That wasn't like him." Ryan nodded. "Thank you. You did the right thing." Inside, nothing looked immediately strange. A normal living room. A small TV. A worn-out couch. But as Ryan walked deeper into the apartment, the wrong details started piling up. The fridge door was open, but nothing had been taken out. A chair was tipped over, but the rug underneath wasn't moved. A glass was on the table, half full of water, but there were no fingerprints. Then they found the body. Ryan crouched beside it, looking closely. Lisa looked over the initial report. "Says time of death is 6:45 this morning." Ryan shook his head. "No way. His body temperature, the rigor, it's been at least 10 hours. Somebody messed with this." "Or someone lied," Lisa said. Ryan felt his mind click into detective mode. If the time of death is wrong, then the entire report is garbage. They continued searching. On the kitchen counter, they found something odd, a grocery receipt dated late last night. But Mark's phone history showed no calls, no texts, no activity for 2 whole days. Something is off, Lisa said. No, Ryan replied. Everything is off. They checked the bedroom. The closet door was open, and clothes were scattered across the floor, as if someone had rummaged through them. But Mark's wallet was untouched. His cash was still inside. Nothing valuable was missing. Not a robbery, Lisa whispered. Ryan agreed. But then came the most confusing find, a footprint. A single dusty footprint on the hallway floor. Too big to be Mark's. Too clean to be old. Too perfect to be an accident. Someone had stood here. Someone big. And recently. Ryan followed the footprint to the living room, and that's when he noticed the photo in the report didn't match the room around him. This is staged, he whispered. This whole scene is staged. Lisa blinked. But why stage a crime scene for a man who wasn't even important? Ryan stared at the body. Maybe he was important in a way we don't know yet. Lisa sighed and put her hands on her hips. Let's start simple. Who was Mark Delton? Ryan read from the file. Accountant. No criminal record. Lived alone. No drama. Everything normal. Lisa raised an eyebrow. And normal people don't end up like this unless. Ryan finished her sentence. Someone wanted them gone. They continued searching. Ryan checked behind the couch and found nothing but dust and old magazines. Lisa opened a desk drawer and found a stack of bills. Nothing special. Hours passed. And the more they investigated, the stranger things became. Where was Mark the night before? Who staged the crime scene? Why did the body have 2 different injury patterns, one in the photo, one in reality? Why had someone changed the time of death? And why did someone erase all fingerprints from the apartment? As the sun began setting, the room grew colder. Ryan rubbed his neck. Something isn't right. Then the ceiling thumped, and everything spiraled. Ryan aimed his flashlight toward the stairs, his heart pounding in his ears. He hated working in the dark. The silence felt alive, like the apartment itself was breathing. Lisa stood beside him, gripping her gun with both hands. Whoever is up there, they stayed the whole time. Ryan whispered, which means they heard us. Another dragging sound scraped across the floor above. Lisa whispered sharply, backup is 5 minutes out. We don't have 5 minutes. Footsteps, slow, heavy, moved toward the top of the stairs. The flashlight's beam shook slightly in Ryan's hand. He tried to steady it. Whatever was up there was coming closer. Suddenly, a shape appeared, a dark figure standing at the top step. Tall, broad, motionless. Ryan shouted, "Police. Raise your hands." The figure didn't move. Lisa stepped closer. "Do it now." Still nothing. Then, without warning, the figure bolted down the stairs, fast. Too fast. Lisa fired. The bullet hit the railing, splintering wood. Ryan tried to jump aside, but the figure slammed into him, knocking the flashlight from his hand. The apartment exploded with chaos, shouts, footsteps, the crash of furniture falling over. The figure sprinted toward the door. Ryan scrambled to his feet and ran after him. The front door burst open. Cold night air rushed inside. Ryan leaped through the doorway into the darkness outside, only to stop dead in his tracks. Because standing in the street, right under a flickering streetlight, was another man, holding something in his hand. Something Ryan immediately recognized. A blood-stained watch. Mark Delton's watch. The man stared directly at Ryan. Then he said, in a low voice, "It's not what you think." Before Ryan could respond, a black van screeched around the corner, tires screaming, heading straight toward them. The moment Detective Harris saw the red light blink under the table, everything inside him froze. The tiny recording device, no bigger than a coin, seemed to glow brighter the longer he stared at it. His breath felt heavy, and for a moment he wondered if he was imagining things. But he wasn't. Someone had been watching his investigation, listening to every word, and tracking every movement, and the device didn't belong to anyone on his team. Before he could reach for it, a loud pounding hit the front door of the cabin. Not a knock. A slam. Then another. Dust shook from the ceiling. Harris grabbed the device and shoved it in his pocket as the door rattled again, this time harder, like someone was trying to break it down. He whispered for Emily to get behind the couch as he reached for his radio. But the radio only hissed with static. No signal. The pounding grew louder. On the fourth hit, the wooden frame cracked slightly. Harris stepped back, gun drawn, heart racing. The door shook one last time, then the noise stopped. Silence. Deep, strange silence that made Emily whisper, "Is it gone?" Harris didn't answer. He didn't know. And before he could take a single step toward the door, something slid a white envelope under it. He didn't open it yet. He didn't even move. He just stared at it as if the paper would bite him. The envelope had one word written on the front in thick black marker: "Stop." That was when Harris knew the case had turned into something much stranger than missing fingerprints or mismatched photos. This was someone warning him, or threatening him. And whoever they were, they knew exactly where to find him. The moment he knelt down to pick up the envelope, a scream suddenly echoed from outside the cabin, loud and sharp, cutting through the trees. It didn't sound like a man. It didn't sound like a woman. It sounded like something in pain, something terrified. And before Harris could run outside, the scream stopped. Just like that. Cut off. As if someone had pressed a button. That was the extreme moment where everything changed. But hours before that moment, earlier that same day, the world still felt confusing but not yet dangerous. The morning had started quietly. Harris and Emily had been driving toward the city, trying to piece together all the strange parts of the case. The evidence didn't match. Witness stories didn't connect. And the fingerprints found earlier didn't belong to anyone in the federal database, not even close. They were too smooth, too perfect, almost like they had been printed onto the crime scene instead of left there naturally. Emily suggested maybe the scanner was broken, but the crime lab said it worked perfectly. Every answer only created more questions. As they drove along the long forest road, Emily kept reviewing her notes while Harris watched the trees. He felt something was wrong, like someone was watching them even out here. The feeling had started at the courthouse and followed him all day, like a shadow he couldn't shake off. At one point, Harris pulled over just to check if a car was following them, but the road behind them was empty, full of nothing but tall trees and drifting fog. The low point came when Emily suggested something that made Harris feel even worse. "What if we're working the wrong case?" she asked softly. "What if someone switched the evidence before we even saw it?" Harris didn't want that to be true. If the evidence didn't belong to the crime scene, it meant someone wanted to mislead them. Someone with access. Someone inside. Still, the biggest problem was the photo they'd found earlier, the picture of the strange man standing outside the victim's home. He was tall, wearing a dark jacket and a baseball cap. The face was blurred, but not in a normal way. It was warped, like the camera had glitched. And when the tech team checked the camera's internal files, that one single photo had been added at a different time than the others. Almost like someone had placed it there. Harris didn't like any of it. Things grew stranger when they reached city limits. A police car blocked the road, and the officer inside stepped out and waved them over. His name tag said Officer Nolan. He looked nervous, like he didn't even want to be there. Harris walked up to talk to him. "Detective," Nolan said quickly. I need to tell you something. Something about your case. I wasn't supposed to say anything, but..." He didn't finish the sentence. His radio crackled loudly, making him jump. Harris reached for the radio to turn down the volume when Nolan leaned in closer and whispered something that made Harris's skin crawl. "Someone inside the department is watching your every move. Stop digging." Before Harris could ask any questions, Nolan stepped back and quickly climbed into his patrol car. Then he sped away like he was running from something. Emily looked at Harris with wide eyes. What was that about? Harris didn't know. But he knew one thing. Someone didn't want them solving this case. The next extreme moment happened only half an hour later. They were driving again and reached the halfway point between the city and the forest. Harris slowed the car when he saw something shining on the road up ahead. At first he thought it was just a piece of metal reflecting the sunlight. But when they got closer, he stopped the car completely. It wasn't metal. It was a phone. A phone placed perfectly in the middle of the road. Emily reached for it, but Harris stopped her. "Wait." He checked the ground around it, the trees, the side of the road, everything. No one was there. No car. No footprints. No tire tracks. Nothing. Finally, he picked up the phone with a glove and clicked the power button. It turned on instantly. The wallpaper was a picture of Harris's house. His actual house. Taken that same morning. Emily gasped. How? How did they get that picture? Harris didn't answer. He couldn't. His mind raced. Someone had been watching them long before they realized it. And then the phone buzzed. A message appeared on the lock screen. "Turn back. That was when Harris decided they weren't going home. They were going somewhere no one expected, a rented cabin deep in the woods where they could try to figure out what was real and what was being planted. Which led to the moment from the start of this chapter. The cabin, the blinking recording device, the pounding at the door, and the envelope with the word stop. But now something new had entered the story. That scream from outside the cabin. Sharp, terrible, and too sudden. Harris and Emily froze. Harris slowly moved toward the window, careful not to make a sound. He peeked through the blinds and saw nothing but trees and shadows. No person. No animal. No movement. He stepped back. Emily whispered, "Detective, something is out there." Harris looked at her, then at the door. And just when he took another step forward, the door handle began to turn. Slow. Silent. Someone, or something, was trying to come inside.